Hello everyone, welcome to Examination 3 video review. Carbohydrates are most important for supplying your body's what specifically? I'm talking about growth, resistance to disease, energy, building blocks. What are we talking about as far as the best representative of that particular essential nutrient? And as far as fats go, and when we're talking about protein, fats, and sugars, and carbohydrates are um, required in amounts of roughly 45 to 65% of your daily caloric intake, protein and fat between 15 and 25%. And then as far as water goes, half an ounce of water per pound of body weight, and up to a 1-to-1 ratio if you're working out, depending on what type of workouts you're doing and what you're training for, and your purposes as far as your workouts go. You're trying to gain weight, lose weight, tone, that type of thing. Which of the following are true of fats? Do they perform no role in energy supply? Do they help the body use and store vitamins? Do they help with regards to immunity? What exactly are the best representation of fats in terms of how they factor into your daily caloric intake? Why is it recommended that you assuming you're not allergic or intolerant, why is it recommended that you eat whole grains instead of white products like white bread? And what are the results of vitamin deficiency? What can that cause? And what is the best source of water besides water itself? Something that I don't think we talk about very often. In terms of drinks, not necessarily food. What drinks? In terms of chronic disease, cardiovascular disease, for example, you're more at risk if you consume what specifically? Is it vitamins and minerals, essential amino acids, fats and cholesterols, water? Pretty easy answer to that particular question in terms of the options that I just gave you. What are the pitfalls of fast foods in terms of what they can offer in terms of benefits, and what are the downsides? What ingredients do they typically have that can hurt you? The best approach to weight loss we talked about earlier. Whether or not you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, tone. If you're trying to lose weight, what is the best recommendation in terms of physical activity, or a weight loss program, or the way that you eat, type of diet, that you're considering. Okay. Eating disorders. There's been a lot of discussions over the years with regards to bulimia or anorexia or disordered eating, and what problem typically leads to eating disorders. And depending on if we're talking about water soluble or fat soluble vitamins, what is the risk for consuming too many fat soluble vitamins? Is there a downside? And if there is, what is the downside? What is the risks versus water soluble vitamins, fat soluble vitamins, that is? What is the risk with fat soluble vitamins? And as far as diet and the relationship between diet and exercise and chronic disease, in particular cancer and cardiovascular disease, preventatively, is there a limited selection of foods that you find are helpful that contribute to this? And should you only eat those, or do you find that there is a wide range of foods that can help prevent cancer and cardiovascular disease? What are some of the downsides with a lot of our populations with regards to eating sugar or foods high in sugar? And how does it affect the brain? Is it similar to, does it affect the brain similarly to how someone's brain might be affected if they're on drugs, specific types of drugs, stimulants? How often should somebody have a physical exam? And what is the most significant risk factor as it relates to acne? A big concern for adolescents. What are some of the risks for getting piercings or tattoos? Obviously, we've evolved tremendously with regards to these things, but there are still things to be concerned about with regards to those two things. Regular physical activity. Obviously, eating well. And everyone's a little bit different, right? Some people may be allergic to something or intolerant, whereas somebody else might, benefit from something like what's perceived as traditionally healthy. But how does physical activity relate to one's emotional health, physical health? What are some of the specific things that that exercise helps with in both the emotional and physical component? As far as physical activity goes, what is the recommendation for children in terms of how much physical activity they need? Now, when we talk about training heart rate, your maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. That's pretty standard across the board. So, for example, I'm 20. And if you subtract 20 from 220, I'm 200. Okay, in terms of that, that is my base maximum heart rate. That's the maximum number of times that you want your heart to beat in 1 minute to be at the high end of a safe level. So you want to be between 50 and 80% of that when you're working out. So for me, it would be between 100 and 160 beats per minute. And I always take my pulse for 10 seconds and then multiply it by 6, and that gives me my number. So if I take my pulse right now and it's 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. So if I'm doing some sort of exercise for 30 to 60 minutes, which is what is recommended, always check with your doctor first, then I'm at a safe level between 30 and 60 minutes because my training heart rate is at 90, between 90 and 100, at the low end of my training heart rate in terms of what I want it to be between 30 and 60 minutes, which with the high end being 220 minus my age or 200. Okay, so know what consistently your body is doing during your workouts so that in 10 years, oh, wow, that's still normal, or oh, wow, that's irregular. The more you pay attention to your body by how you look at your body, your marks on your body, how you smell, what you look like, self-testicular and self-breast examinations every month. The more you know yourself, the more you can trust yourself when you go to your doctor, respectively, or your OBs, and they may give you a standard answer, and your gut tells you something else. This is a better way to feel empowered and know yourself better. Okay, if you're exercising, and it's a lot of parts of California, typically in the summers, are really hot. In Vegas or Arizona, a lot of West Coast states. What are some of the recommendations in terms of exercising in the heat, and what is not necessarily recommended? Dental care is very important, right? Plaque buildup can happen if you're not flossing or the kids aren't flossing from a young age throughout adolescence and adulthood. Can cause a higher incidence of cardiovascular disease. So this is something to teach them at a young age. You're not supposed to hold in a sneeze either, but I didn't want it to scare anyone who wasn't necessarily looking at the screen and they were just listening to this, or you were dozing off or something like that, and then all of a sudden you hear an achoo, and you get scared to death. So, anyways, professional dental care is really important at home and at the dentist's office. Okay. Message me with any questions. That's been Examination 3's video review. Good luck on Exam 3. All right.